Welcome, I'm Jon Caldara, president of the Independence Institute and your devil's advocate. Later on, we're going to be talking about the Republican Party and what kind of shape it's in. But first, a couple of guys who've been around the corner a bit too many, several corners. I didn't know there were that many corners around. Republican strategist Dick Wadhams, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Good to see you, Mr. Miller. How are you?
I'm good.
Miller. All right, so let's go with this. There are rumors abounding. There's been rumors abounding for over a month about a recall, about a special session to do something with Prop CC. Prop CC is another fatal attack on TABOR. It would take away our excess revenues, not just this year, not just for next year, but forever. It would really be awful. This thing, has CC gotten any traction at all?
Not that I can see. It was kind of an afterthought at the end of the session, and it occurred before these recent court decisions. Now the people who want to do a substantive TABOR reform look at CC, and it's a lose-lose for them. Either way, if it passes, they're going to say, look, we just gave you some money. Why are you still trying to tamper with TABOR? If it loses, they'll say they won't even give you their refunds. What makes you think you can change TABOR? Yeah. So I think they've painted themselves.
What amazed me is that here comes this thing that kind of looked like Ref C. Well, we're just going to take your refunds, but it's forever. And the two Republicans who made Ref C palatable and happen, Hank Brown, who was then president of University of Colorado, and Governor Bill Owens, both came out of the box going, this is nothing like that. We would never support this. We come out against it. Right. And it seemed to come to a screeching halt. I've never seen a massive tax increase that has had so little planning from the proponents.
Yeah, and even the Denver Post came out against it, remember?
The Denver Post came out
of it. They still want some TABOR reform, but even they came out against it. So it makes you wonder.
Let's be careful. They don't want TABOR reform. They want TABOR death.
TABOR death, you're right. They want TABOR death. It makes you wonder what got into the Democrats in the legislature, John. I mean, maybe they were so heady with all their successes in killing the oil and gas industry and taking our guns away and imposing sex education on school districts. Maybe they just thought we can do anything. So now we're going to put this on the ballot and gut TABOR in terms of refunds. But how stupid, because they are in a bad place right now.
I've defended TABOR for 25 years now, and I've been intimately involved in the attacks on it and battling back the initiatives. And each and every time there's either a tax increase or a hit on the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, it is planned out, it is structured, the coalition come together, they sing Kumbaya, they bring out the poor kids and they bring out the elderly, and they never talk about the waste. I don't see any of that this time.
No.
Well, do they even have a campaign?
No, there's no visible campaign. And you know, I look back at Ref C, which I was involved in. I think they raised $15 million, and then still only got 53% of the vote. And Andrew Romanoff got in his car and put 9,000 miles on it and drove to every county in the state and met with every Lions Club and Kiwanis Club and told them why we should, raise the
TABOR
cap.
Limit. Yeah.
It was the TABOR limit for 5 years.
And, forever, by the way.
And even with all that work, it only got 53%. Now there's no campaign, there's no money, nobody's in charge. It's hard to see how this can pass. If there is a special session, in my view, the Democrats would be smart to just jerk it off the ballot.
All right, let's talk about that for a second. And by the way, we're taping this on Thursday before Friday, so this all might be terrible old news by the time you're watching this, because it could be a day old. But there were rumors that Polis was going to bring in a special session to rehabilitate Ref C, which was, or Prop CC, which was to give us a tiny, tiny little income tax break and then take away our tax refunds for 15 years. So it's still for every dollar they'd save you in taxes, they take $8 in refund. I don't think anybody was going to fall for that. And there was also all this talk about they wanted a tobacco tax, that the governors plan to give full-day kindergarten for free. Amazingly, when you give things for free, people sign up for it, and more people signed up for it than he thought, and now he wants the money from tobacco, because if you support the children, you smoke. That's how you tell if you support the children. So, I think it was going to be a few different things for a special session. You've been involved in this. You were the press secretary for Bill Owens. If there's a special session, they're not handling this. There's no time.
No, time is running out, John. I mean, the ballot has to be certified by the 1st of September. But as Miller said, there's no political coalition being built. And that was a gut punch when Owens and Brown came out against the original version, and they won't be for any future version either. And so they've lost their two big guns in terms of what passed the referendum C. I don't see how they get their act together. I think Miller's right. They ought to pull the damn thing off the ballot
you mentioned the end of September, but there's something else, I believe, and they've got to get the Blue Book done. Right. And the Blue Book Committee is set up through some sort of statutory mechanism, so they have a deadline well before that. Right. So if he's going to pull a special session, even to pull it off, he better do it soon. Yeah. Why just pull it off? Or what are your? Give me a prediction.
I'm totally bumfuzzled by this about what they have not done as much as what they've done. If they were going to have the special session, it should be over by now, in my opinion. Yeah. The real risk, though, with special sessions, and I've seen this historically, is that it's one of these things where 10 things can happen and 9 of them are bad.
Like what?
I mean, trying to get through to get exactly what you want. Once you open this door, people can amend it. There can be substitute amendments proposed. I mean, nobody knows where this is going because it is a leaderless army.
Help me understand this, because when the governor says, I'm going to have a special session and we're limiting it to transportation or limiting it to the Taxpayer Bill of Rights or taxing something, they can't then go and do something completely different, but there's a lot of room inside of that.
That's right.
And they only have a few days to do it. What's the rule? How far in advance does the governor have to call a special session? Because it's summertime. These people are flung all over the world right now.
I don't think it's very long. I recall 2 special sessions on grasshoppers that were eating up all the wheat in Colorado. They jerked us in here in a hurry and got an appropriation out. And I think Scott Matheson was the governor of Utah. He offered to send us seagulls to eat the grasshoppers.
John, I think this also says something about Governor Polis, who I think has been a very successful and effective governor so far. But I think we're seeing a blind spot here, because I compare him to Governor Owens. I worked for Owens, as you said. Owens was a very effective governor. Owens would never have let this thing languish like this, and this drifting that they're doing on this issue. And it makes you wonder just what is going on in the Polis administration.
Well, I've got a theory about that, because I have a theory about everything. Watching closely Dick Lamb and then Roy Romer and then Bill Owens, you saw guys who understood how to steer the ship. Yeah. And my sense is it's because they came up in that system. Yeah. They understood how bills work, they understand how the appropriations work, they understand the pressure points. And they had a sense of, I know the machine, here's how you run the machine, whether you agree with how they did it or not. Since then, we've gotten 3 governors who've had no experience in the machine. Ritter, who is, I believe, just a wonderful human being, was completely ineffective as a governor. Hick let his people do it, and that was all messed up. And Polis might have been a good congressman for his district, but it's a whole different world. That's my sense. Agree, disagree?
I agree 100%, and that is that, it was kind of like when Wellington Webb became mayor and everybody said, well, he's just a hack politician. Well, he had hacked a long time, and he knew where to hack, and he became very effective because he understood the process. That he held jobs in city government and state government and that kind of thing. Certainly, Ritter tried to run the state like it was a DA's office, and then we had Hickenlooper who wanted to run it like a brew pub and let the managers
the daytime manager take care of it.
It's too early to.
One last thing on the special session. I could be off on this, but I believe they don't have the power just to remove Prop CC from the ballot. I think they have to give themselves that authority. So they have to change the statute in order to allow them to pull it off and then pull it off. And if it takes 3 days to do one, it might take 3 days to do it. This could be a week and a half special session.
At best, they're headed towards an embarrassment. At worst, a huge electoral defeat in November on this whole thing.
Well, I've been pretty clear on this. I welcome a complete repeal of the taxpayer bill of rights.
I do too.
Bring it on, baby, because it is just as popular as it ever was. And just because the people under that gold dome hate it, both Republicans and Democrats, doesn't mean that taxpayers hate the idea of having consent over that. So Magellan put out a new poll showing this state keeps moving to the left. Even Democrats agreed there was overreach by the Polis administration and the new progressives in charge. I know this is going to surprise both of you. Polling suggests a recall of our governor might not be successful. Let's start off with this.
Darn.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, we have a governor who spent $25 million to get the job. He'll spend another 10 or 15 million to hang on to it. He'll bankrupt the Republican Party if they try to recall him, and so that's not going anywhere. The thing about the poll that I found made me wonder. I don't believe that 45% of the voters know whether or not the legislature went too far to the left or not. They're kind of repeating a mantra that's out there about it, and I don't think the jury will come in on the things that this legislature did for another 18 months or so.
Well,
I've never seen such hubris in the legislature in my life, and I mean I haven't been watching since you guys.
You never dealt with Rod Straley.
Right. I mean, you guys were around in the 1800s when we were dealing with that stuff. But in my 30 years, I haven't seen that. I know you're surprised a recall might not be. First of all, I believe a recall effort of the governor doesn't help our team at all.
No, it actually helps Polis.
Explain that. Explain that in simple terms.
If you pick a fight, what's the old line? If you shoot at the king, you better kill him, because otherwise it's strength. Yeah, and that's the way with recalls. If you pick a fight with an incumbent and you fail, it strengthens the incumbent because it's a de facto endorsement. It's a de facto embodiment of success for that incumbent. Yeah, it does. And so I don't understand any of these recalls except for Galindo and Greeley, and that would have been successful because what she did was struck at the heart of Weld County. It might be wise to take a look at a recall of the Senate president in Pueblo, but going after Polis, who has $25 million to spend on fighting off a recall? No, well, they're not going to get the signatures.
Well, I mean, they need 600,000 signatures, and I think they're almost 90% there already.
Oh, I'm sure. So. Yeah, 2 weeks. No, I was thinking this morning, John, watching the Democrats jumping off cliffs after they watched their hero Miller yesterday. The Democrats are in a la-la land thinking they can reverse the election of 2016 by impeachment. And I think our friends, and many of them are very well-intentioned.
They are.
Who think that they can recall Polis. Just get over it. Let's go after Polis in 2022. Let's take that fight up then. We're not going to reverse the 2018 election in 2019.
There are things that people who are frustrated with how far left this governor has gone. I think the national popular vote, I guarantee you it's going to get on the ballot. I guarantee you it's going to be close, but I think we're going to win next year on that. Taking out Galindo is a good one. There are definitely things that move policy. Why don't we bring the last word over here? Has this been is there too much hubris going on with Polis and the progressives, or this seemed pretty normal to you?
I think they did what they said they were going to do it. A lot faster, and it was drinking out of a fire hose kind of thing. I think it's too early to say what the judgment's going to be. There's a lot of people happy out there that we're going to have a mandatory kindergarten, and then it's going to be paid for by the public. Now, granted, they're going to have to figure out how to pay for it since they don't have the money to do it right now. But I'd say the jury's out.
All right, well, I'll see you all at the recall campaign headquarters. So, Miller, thank you. Dick, thank you.
John.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.